Good evening. How's everyone doing? Hello, Celine. How are you? Just me. Just me. Turns out she's sitting over there, but she's not on camera. Turns out I was right again. This is why I'm glad she's sitting over there and she can't argue with me. She went to the doctor today, like I told her to weeks ago, and she does need to see an orthopedic, like I told her to weeks ago. And she finally called and made an appointment. Hello, Donna. Hello, Anna. Hello, Jen. Dana, how are you? So, yes, she has to see an orthopedic and get some x-rays and find out what's going on because she's wearing a bulky sling thing that we got off of Amazon. Hey, Laura. So, yeah, I was right again. Hello there, Donna. How are you? So, she's going to be at the events, maybe, right? She's nodding. But she's going to be not doing any heavy lifting, and we're going to get someone to assist us. I think it might be Alex, and we're going to go from there. Strange night at the Creeper Gallery on Friday night. I know once the weather gets nice, it's going to be nuts in New Hope on Friday, which you can't find any parking spaces. Everybody's loud. The bars are all hopping. But like in the wintertime, it's not so bad on Fridays in New Hope, which surprised me. I actually enjoyed being there on a Friday night because more people got to watch. More people were watching at one time. And I went till 10:30 and still, a lot of people are watching. The weird thing is freaking, I don't know if it's StreamYard or it probably is StreamYard or no, it's probably Facebook too. I think it's Facebook. They hey, Luann, they do this thing now. Hey, David, where in the past, if you scheduled an event, meaning, if you announce it during the day or a couple of days before, it would just start live. When you start it live, it would show up on your page. You didn't have to click on the event itself to watch it. Now they're doing whatever, for whatever reason they're doing that. Like now, like I noticed I came home, I tried to watch part of it, and I had to kind of go into the event and then click on a thing where normally it would just be there. So I shared it from YouTube, which is better because the YouTube numbers were better. But kind of weird. I hate when they change crap like that. Just I'm old. I don't need that kind of change. But it annoyed me because I'm actually looking for it as I'm there, and I had to go into the event and keep. That's why I kept updating and looking because I couldn't read any comments because I was behind all the time. The feed wouldn't update, which was really, really bizarre. Hey, Deb, how are you? So that night, that day, I should say, was very, very a bizarre day. That was one of those days where I probably should have not left the house and stayed locked in because it was just a weird day. It started out as a decent day, and I saved in all those in YouTube. I can't watch anymore unless I'm become. Oh, really? That's strange. It started out as a normal day. I was driving and I was going down a a regular road. It's not like a main road, but it's a busy road, and there was snow on either side. I explained this during the live stream, and this guy, only one car could kind of pass because there's cars parked on the side too. I have to go to your page and get these talks. Well, I mean that's sort of normal though, Luann. I mean, when we're live, this should just appear. But if I were to schedule it, you would have to click on the event and then go find it, which again is weird. So I'm driving down this road. Because of the snow and parked cars, there's not enough room for two cars to go like they normally would this way and that way. So this guy moves over. I'm thinking he's giving me the path to go. So I head into the middle, which there's only a middle. And then he decides to come around the parked car and meet me now in the middle section. And I'm like, there's no way there's enough room for both of us on this road. No way. And he's in an SUV. And I'm like, kind of the room you have with your car backing up and going around things. And I'm looking like this is going to be really, really tight. And I made the mistake of just moving over a little bit because he was getting way too close. And I heard, boom. And I said, oh, crap. What was that? And I look in my right rear view mirror, side mirror, and I see the side mirror of the parked car just dangling and a piece of plastic in the road. So I'm like, great. So I had to pull up a little ways to turn around safely so I could go back to where the house was. Sat there looking at the car, and I'm like, son of a B, of all the things. So I call the police, non emergency number. Officer shows up, and he's like, I got to tell you, he goes, and this is probably, was that the afternoon that I did that? Or was that the morning? The afternoon, I think. It's around 12 o'clock, 11:30. Um, the police officer comes, hey, Kathy, and he's just like, I got to tell you, he goes, I was a traffic cop for years. He goes, 9 times out of 10, the person just keeps going. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't want to be the guy, I picture myself walking out of my house and looking at my mirror being, and there was this one time where somebody hit my son's car too in a parking lot, and they were nice enough to write a note with their number and their insurance company. I'm like, so I couldn't do that. So it takes all my information. The person wasn't home, and now I wait for my insurance to. But anyway, that was that day. So what do? I was still a little, you know, even though it wasn't an accident, you still get a little gun shy, as you're going around cars and you're whatever. So I'm like, I gotta just get in my car and drive somewhere to get over that feeling. So that's why I really decided to go to the Creeper too. I knew Chris wasn't gonna go because she's not up for it and she's in pain. So I'm like, this will be good. It'll get me in my car. It'll get me just driving again, automatic, and not worried about things. And so I get there, and I'm kind of trying to figure out how to set things up. And first thing I do is I set my spirit box up on the counter, And I turned around and I hear, and I'm like, I didn't want to turn around and see what that was. And I looked and my spirit box is on the floor and pieces were off of it. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, right? You got to be kidding me. So I'm picking it up and I'm trying to put it together best I can. And I'm just like, this is. So I'm looking at the time. I got there early enough. I set up everything in the red room. I'm trying to get the spirit box to work, and that's not going so great. So now it's like 5-10 minutes before I'm supposed to start. Um, I set up the room on StreamYard, meaning I do the title, I set up the stream, I stream it to Facebook, and I stream it to YouTube, and it's not connecting. And I'm like, literally, it's now almost 7:30, and I'm like, go live, no connection, no connection. And I'm like, what is going on here? So I called Donna, I texted Donna, I'm like, you have no Wi-Fi. I can't connect to anything. And she's like, well, it's fine on Saturday and Sunday. I'm like, well, it ain't fine for me because I can't connect to anything. And so then I texted Jay, who works with her. I'm like, Jay, you have any Wi-Fi problems? He's like, no, you should find the router and unplug it. I'm like, I have no idea where the router is in that building. So he explains to me where it is. I unplug it. Twice I had to do it. And then I plugged it back in and then it worked. That's why I didn't start till 7:45, I think it was, almost 8 o'clock. So prior to that, I'm looking around at the objects that are there. And I know she brought in new objects and, I bypassed the folly mirror and a few other things. And what do I focus on? There are the twins. Now, I'd seen the twins before at her gallery in her home, and I didn't really know the story. I just knew they were creepy looking. So I'm like, oh, there they are. And I read the story, and I'm like, oh boy, the 2-3-year-olds, and I'm like, boy, that's kind of dark and depressing. So I'm like, well, I'll do it though, because I told her to bring them in and I'll do them. And then right next to the twins is the last rites box. And I'm thinking, okay, another religious artifact probably belonged to a priest who was at a church forever and passed away. And then I read that he was murdered. And I said, oh, yeah, I'm doing that one too. So you would think that after all that bad stuff happened to me, that I would stay away from anything like that. But no, I don't have that ability to do that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do both of these. I'm going to do both of them. So that's why I did it. And, like I said, the subject matter was rough. The stories surrounding them were, the twins were the boy and the girl who somehow got out of the house and wandered off, and they thought the mom had something to do with the disappearance, and they found them 3 days later, and they had, died from exposure to the cold and everything else. Really, really heartbreaking. And they were pretty active, and I was surprised that they were pretty active, because you never know. Again, and the weird thing about the objects that have tragedy surrounding them is that you feel bad. You read that stuff and you're like, well, it's part of the information. It's part of what led to their passing, and you're like, wow, do you really want to bring that up to them? You know what I mean? And see, but it's all part of it. You want to see how they'll react to it and how they feel about it, and if they're willing to share anything about it, or if they just don't want to talk about it, or if they just want to add more to it, or all of that. So kind of have to do it, but in a delicate way. So that's what I try to do anyway. But they were pretty active, and I was happy about that. They kept the two lights. I'll never forget that, because it was such a bizarre pattern of tripwire 1, 2, 1, 2. There was one down here, one up here, 1, 2. And they would actually kind of like 1, 2. I would ask at one point, it was, what were their names again? You guys would know better than I would. Jacqueline and was it Neil? Got a horrible names. I would ask for one then the other, and then the tripwires would light up, and I thought that was really really interesting, and yeah, they were they were pretty active, and you feel bad, you know, for what happened to them. Hey, and you wonder again. The big mystery is, you know, like if you pass when you're, you know, 3 years old, 4 years old, 10 years old, um, do you age in the afterlife, or the energy is does the energy mature, if you want to call it spirit or energy? um, is the spirit you're contacting in the moment from that time period, the 3-year-old version that died, or is it the spirit that is existing wherever, whenever? It's a really weird thing to think about, because you want to talk to them on a child level, like you're a child, you talk to them like you were your own child, and on another hand you're like, well, if they're it was 19 whatever 29, and now it's 100 years later, so are they still like a, I hate to like make the correlation or the comparison, but like a vampire, like vampire, like what was that movie with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, Interview with a Vampire? How they bit the little girl and she stayed that age the whole time. Um, you wonder. I wonder all this stuff as I'm sitting there doing what I'm doing. Um, but they were pretty active, and um, I didn't sense any kind of negative energy at all, really. But I was feeling nauseous when I started, from the moment I started. And I was wondering if it was the twins or if it was the other object, So then I got to the last rites box and I read that whole thing and I was like, oh boy, you know, I'm doing half the investigation, um, based on the fact that this insane woman showed up with her 5-year-old, accused him of molesting her daughter, and killed him after the service. So, one hand, you're like, okay, this insane person killed a priest, and was insane and accused him of things he didn't do. On the other hand, you're like, well, what if he did do them? You know what I mean? Then it's like, well, was it justified or whatever? So it's such a tightrope, and you like to test both to see what kind of reaction you get either way, because, like I said when I was doing it, there are two different conversations there. If he was a convicted pedophile and it was known that he had done those things, then yes, I would have been talking to him much differently. But I don't know. I still didn't know the whole time I'm doing it. I didn't know. But that's a weird energy surrounding that box for sure. Um, there's certain items I don't really like doing a second pass and going around again too, and that might be on that list because the energy was when those lights and I started turning yellow and then just went orange and red and just a waterfall of energy. I was like, oh boy. Because you're wondering, is that good or is that bad? Or the, or the spirits just kind of like more present because they've gained enough energy to be there and they're there? Or are they mad or upset and now you're seeing that play out in front of you? Really, really weird how that happened. I had to shut the lights off, and that kind of, once that starts happening, that's when I get like, oh boy, like what's gonna happen next? I always wait for that point where I hope it never happens, but man, there's bound to be one of these objects where like something comes flying off the wall and hits me or something. It's got to happen at least one time. I mean, I haven't found the object yet, but I don't know. Maybe I just self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe that's going to happen to me when I go back there. But really interesting stuff. There's been several pieces that have come in. The sideshow gaff. There's been a lot of interesting stuff that's come in lately, and I enjoy that because for me, knowing that Chris isn't there and I don't have to worry about saying or pushing buttons or the energy reacting anyway, and affecting her at all. I could just do whatever I do. And said that day was so weird. And talk about weird. I brought this up on my personal Facebook page. There are weird coincidences in life. And do things happen for a reason? That's again a question you guys, can answer. Do you think that some things are like predestined or predetermined or meant to happen, even if they're mundane? Hey Francis. So Chris and I decided to go to Dark Side Oddities market thing in Raritan. We're just going to look around and see what was there. And again, if you've gone to the horror things over there, it's pretty much the same. They just have a ton of vendors. And I don't know. So we just went there to look around. So it was a nice day. We get out of the house. We're looking around. And you guys know me. I'm not really one to seek out readers or mediums or whatever. But we're walking through, and right before we left, we saw this woman who was an astrologist. Maybe I can't even get her on. I'll probably reach out to her. We've never had an astrologist here, on here, or at any of the expos or psychic fairs that we've done. Never. And I'm interested in that. I mean, when I was a kid, back when we had newspaper out there, I know that's kind of foreign to a lot of you, but when there was no internet and you would just get the Sunday newspaper and you read the sports and you read whatever, every day in the Star Ledger, I would read my horoscope when I was younger, and so I was kind of into astrology, I guess. And so we're going by and we see her. She was doing a reading. We came back around, and now she was just sitting there. So we went over to her and we were just talking about the expo and how we've never had an astrology reader. I don't know what they call them. And she was like, yeah, oh, okay. Well, yeah, whatever. I mean, she really wasn't that interested at first. So, so Chris interviews every reader that comes to the expo or the psychic fair. So she's like, hey, I'm going to take your card. I'm going to call you in a few days. And do you mind going through an interview process or whatever? And I'm like, hey, how about we just get a reading? And Chris is like, I'm not doing it. I'm like, well, why not? She's like, I'm not doing it. You want to do it? You do it. I'm like, fine, I'll do it. So I sat down, and it was really, really, how she did it was kind of cool. She had her laptop, pretty big screen. She had a headset and a microphone on with a little speaker because it was pretty crowded, so I could hear her. And she's just explaining to me. She asked me for my date of birth and my time of birth. And oddly enough, I do know what time I was born because my mom would tell me that I barely made it in on November 14th. I was born at 11 o'clock at night. I was almost the 15th. So I knew what time I was born. So anyway, I give her that information. She puts it into her thing, and here comes this chart on the screen. And it's like a pie chart, and there's all symbols and stuff. And then there's a triangle that kind of connects them all. And she went one by one explaining what the symbols meant and how they pertain to me and what the connection between. She was really, really good.
She hit it on the head.
Chris said she hit it on the head, and I think she was close on 95% of the stuff.
Yeah.
I would say some stuff didn't really apply to me, but impressive. So we're sitting there, and you know, I'm joking like I normally do as we're going along about different things, and she says, she says, she says, I know you too, and we're like, what do you mean? She goes, I've seen you before. I said, okay. She goes, you interviewed Chip Coffey. And I said, well, yeah. I said, Chip Coffey actually married us. We're friends with him. She goes, that's where I know you two from. I watched the videos. She said, I saw you guys interview Chip, and I really admire Chip, and he inspired me to do the things that I do. And I'm thinking to myself, like, think of all the things that would have happened to have us go to that thing, even get the reading, meet that person, have that conversation. You know what I mean? It was just like, we don't normally go to those things. We go to the horror ones once in a while because my daughter, Ven's there. She makes tumblers and really cool horror stuff. So we'll go to support her and buy some stuff and then just leave. That one, my daughter wasn't at. We just went out because we felt like going out. And we met that person, and it was just like, wow. And I felt the same way about, like, Jane Doherty when I met her, Gloria, I can't pronounce her last name, from Tom's River, when I met her, um, Nancy Weber, when I met her, the psychic detective lady. There are certain people you meet throughout your paranormal journey that I believe you're meant to meet to get you to the next step and to add tools into your toolbox, even if it's just to change your way of thinking a little bit. I remember a guy, um, we were at doing the very first expo, which was 2014, and we had been doing events start way back in 2009. So we've been doing events for almost 20 years, and um, our events then were similar to what they are now, but a little different. And I'm watching this guy who we invited to the expo, and he was doing a ghost hunt in there was a side building that had a tunnel that was really creepy and cool in Patterson where we were doing the thing. And it's the first time I ever saw anybody do a real-time EVP session. And normally when we did our investigations, we didn't really do them at events then, but normally when we would go investigate a building, we would put recorders on the top floor, middle floor, basement, whatever, wherever the hot spots were, and we would put our headphones on, and we would listen back 5-6 hours on this recorder, 5-6 hours on that recorder, and then all the video footage. It was, I hated every bit of it, but you were just waiting for that little nugget of like a voice. And the one that strikes me the most, I'm getting on the side tangent, is we're in this one building where they claim to have seen a girl walk down the hallway, and I saw that girl, first that person I've ever seen. I saw that girl up the stairs in that building. But when I reviewed all the footage, hour after hour after hour after hour, down that one hallway where they saw her, I caught somebody took the camera, they moved a little left, a little right, and then I heard, Mama, clear as day into the microphone. That was after 6 hours of audio. So that's how we did it then, because, everybody was kind of. So I'm watching this guy, and he's doing the ghost hunt for the people, for us at the very first expo. And all of a sudden, he takes out a speaker, he takes out his recorder, and he goes, all right, you guys just, everybody ask a question, and then we're going to listen back. And I was like, kind of different. And he did it with like 4 or 5 people. And he listened back, and I heard the two responses, and I was like, wow, that's a really cool way to do this, because again, it's real time. You're you're not reviewing it, hearing it later, and then going, shoot, I wish I'd have heard that voice, because I would have asked another question, or I would have known who I was talking to. And that's kind of when we started, and I started doing it that way, because it was just like, so again, watching that guy seeing that thing was something I took and added to, the stuff that we do. And there's been several people, like I said, John Zaff is one of those people where, meeting him and hearing about everything that he's done is like, wow, to think again back to a time where, I know it seems like it was so long ago, but maybe it was, but it wasn't for me, where again, there wasn't a paranormal group there wasn't 10 in every town. There wasn't ghost hunts happening in every building, in every city, in every town. The paranormal was sort of underground and taboo-ish. And, here were the people who were out there like trying to communicate with spirits and rid houses of them, and doing that stuff in real life all the time. And John was like, wow, talking to him was like, damn. Again, it was like having encyclopedias of paranormal there at your fingertips. And then I met Grant Wilson, and Grant was another one who really just was like, blew my mind with his theories, and then you develop your own, and you do your own investigating and have your own experiences, and there you go. So, but yeah, meeting that astrologer was really, really, I know, like, again, I'm not like totally like on board with everything, because there are basic, qualities to every zodiac sign. You guys know that, that if you even look up your zodiac sign that says, characteristics of a Leo or a Scorpio or whatever. So I'm not naive enough to not to know that they can't like incorporate that into the reading just based on, your birth sign. But she did more than that. She took it further and was like, do you do this? Do you do this? And then she actually said to me, not after she was like, she showed me the triangle thing, and she's like, it's weird because this connects to this connects to this, but what do you do? And then she mentioned, wait a minute, I know you guys. And then we talked about the paranormal stuff, and she's like, you know what? She's like, all this kind of adds in to like a thirst for like knowing the answers, intuitiveness and all that. And I was just like, it is kind of weird, like John Zappa says that to me all the time. He's like, you need to know, you don't know it, but you've got that intuitive nature. And I'm like, I don't have that at all. It's just that even a blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then. It's like, I do this so much, and I'm asking questions so much, and I'm using every tool at my disposal that, yeah, eventually I'm going to get some interaction and some communication. I don't think it has anything to do with being intuitive, at all. I don't think I have any of that, to be honest with you. I don't know. Chris, would you say you're intuitive?
No.
No, she said no from the other room. So,
I'm self-aware.
Self-aware?
Yeah, and when you're self-aware, you're more aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys heard that. She said when you're self-aware, you're more aware of what's going on around you. She also, I think, is more, I don't know if it's more open, but she's more, what's the word? I don't want to say vulnerable, because you're not really vulnerable, but you're people who have had issues and trauma and all that other stuff seem to be more, like people say, that the stronger energies or the negative
like
ones tend to gravitate.
It's like there's a mark on you. You're easily found.
Yeah. So, but then you're with Superman, and
Yes.
Away they go.
Superman.
Away they go. I found my two paranormal. I found my John Show shirt and my Paranormal Savior shirt today when I was putting my laundry away. Yes, I have. So that was again kind of cool. I'd like to have her on and talk about the whole astrology thing and how it works. But it's one of those things where you can't help but wonder with a skeptical brain, and I have one. Like, I hate to say this because I'm not applying this to all people who do these things, but you wonder: is it like you you don't have to know how the magic trick works to know it's not magic. You know what I mean? Like if you watch these behind the scenes and like the secrets of magicians and illusionists, you sit there and go, okay, well, man, when I'm watching that and it's live on stage, the sleight of hand and all that stuff, it looks real to me. And you wonder if in some of these cases with different readers and different people, are they just so good at importing the very general questions and what I mean, and reading people that that makes the reading look more, I don't know, real. But it's when they come out with things that aren't natural that I sit up and I go, wow, oh, okay. And this one did that, and that was pretty cool. So I mean, I only vouch for the ones that kind of do that. And I saw Jane do it. I saw Jane do it right in front of me, and it was just like, I'll tell you something Jane did, and I still have to text Jane and get her on here. We were many moons ago. We were working with a production company, a very small production company, and we were working on a show with Jane. We were pitching a show. I shouldn't say working on a show. Pitching on a show that involved Jane Doherty, and it's the concept of the show I thought was a good one. But during Jane's walkthrough, Jane would do a walkthrough and do her readings, and then we would come in and try to validate her readings and find proof and document it. And one of the things Jane did during this walkthrough, I'll never forget. She was it was a house, and in the basement of this house was the man cave of the guy who lived there who passed away, and his wife, the daughter, her husband, and the family moved into the house. But they said that stuff was going on in the basement. We talked about this before. But one of the things that Jane did to really knock my socks off was Jane didn't know where she was going. Jane showed up this day just to film the part of the sizzle, and they explained to her what they wanted her to do. She went through the walkthrough, and we didn't know what she said or what she did until after, when we were all doing the reveal with the client, and they played clips and all that other stuff. And Jane, during her walkthrough, picked out this clock. You ever see those clocks that are like surrounded by like a glass dome type of thing? I don't know how to describe them, but you know what I'm talking about. She said there's something very relevant about, I don't know what it is, but it was just on a shelf in the guy's man cave with the big TV and all that other stuff, all of his Yankee stuff. She said something significant about this clock. So we investigated that area. We got voices in the basement, but nothing specific to the clock. But when we were doing the reveal with the client, that clock stopped at the time that he died. I don't know if it was the same night. It may have been days later, but it stopped.
Adopt the night he died.
Oh, the night he died. It stopped. Jane didn't know that. And when we were told that, we were all sitting together. And the again, the clients were like mouth open, my mouth was open, and Jade was just nodding, like, yeah, I knew there was something about that clock. I knew there was something significant. And I was like, holy crap. Wow. So that stuff, you can't just wing it. You can't just wing that. And I watched Jane during a seance. Man, again, that's when I knew that she was the real deal, because she had 10 people sitting around, and she was one by one going to them. And she's like, I have a name in my head. I'm just going to say it. I don't know what it means. And she said this weird name. It was like Bizu or something like that. Just real bizarre. And I looked like, what the hell's a Bizu? And crying from the corner of the room, the woman's mother had passed, and she had the dog, and the dog's name was Bizu. Jane didn't know who was going to be in attendance at that event. I sold the tickets. She had no idea. I didn't give her a list. To me, I love that stuff but then again, I spin and spin in my brain like, God, why do some people have that and others don't? And why do the people who do have it not know more than I think they should? I know that's weird. I say that all the time to mediums. I would literally drive myself crazy if I was a medium trying to find the answers. There's someone I might interview. We have a friend, very devout, very religious. He does TV shows of faith, and his latest interview was with a person who had a near-death experience, claims to have gone to heaven, met Jesus, got some message, and came back. So I'm curious if I should reach out and see about getting that guy on, because one of the theories out there, Grant Wilson was one of the ones. He's the one who said this to me. He said, the original version of heaven that you and I will experience is just that, your version, my version, her version.
Personal.
Everybody's personal. You want to sit here and talk, or you're gonna?
No, I'm saying that loud.
You hear?
My head.
You hear that over there? But that's what Grant's theory was. Grant's theory was that I say they like I know who they are. You transition into that personal afterlife heaven until you come to terms with the afterlife and what exactly is going on and what the transition means. And then the true afterlife is revealed to you once you're accepting of the fact that you've transitioned and this is what you are now, or what I don't know. It made a whole lot of sense to me. I'm thinking, man, if I was 19 and smoking weed again, him and I would have really like, that's the stuff. I watch these podcasts where they talk about ayahuasca and how that's this great, like, you see heaven and you see angels and stuff. Like, those are the type of conversations you have when you're on stuff like that, like deep soul. And I wish Grant would have come out with those books. He hasn't done it yet. I should talk to him again. But man, I what a great conversation. I'll never forget that conversation as long as I live that I had with Grant, because he was just like, it was like if he said what he said was true, I don't know. How would I know? But that was his story. He believed every bit of it. It was like he was telling exactly what happens as if he's been there and he knew. And because he said this was all based on research and people he had talked to and all this other stuff. And I was just like, man, really? And 2 hours we talked. And at the end of that conversation, I was like, And again, his idea of the reason that all spirits, even bad ones, eventually transition is because that life review just, they don't let you out of it until you really face and feel everything you've done. From stealing a piece of bubble gum from the corner store when you were 6 to killing 100 people. You until your soul comes and feels what it should have before to make you not do all that stuff, you don't transition. I thought that was interesting. I mean, everything he said made it make sense, at least. Like if there was ever a make it make sense thing, he had it. He answered every one of those questions with as logical answers I've ever heard. It's a lot more sense to me than, I don't know, other things, But anyway, so we have an event this Saturday, and we're waiting for word from the facility. They were having some issues with the building, so I should hear hopefully tomorrow or the next day about what's going on there. So as of now, the event is still happening Saturday. I believe it's Camp Evans, I think. Yeah, Camp Evans. But I'm waiting to hear word on whatever issues that they're having. That I think they can fix them. That's what I heard. But I'm waiting to hear what's going on there. So, like I said, as of now, it's on. If anything changes with that, I'll let you know by tomorrow or the next day. But hopefully it gets worked out. I mean, they seem to think it will, so hopefully it does. Other than that, I'm trying to find dates for things. I mean, we're getting asked to do other things. And what I wanted to mention too, we had thrown around the idea of the Paranormal Day at the Sterling Hill Mine. Again, free admission. Just have some vendors, have some speakers. No, you do not get free access to the mine. People have asked that. We will have ghost walks like we do sometimes on the weekends. We'll have probably 2 of those, maybe 3, with like 20 people per group, where we turn the lights out and we just have some equipment in there. We do some stuff. But the day itself, because it's free, it'd just be a matter of you being able to walk through the big open area of the Sterling Mine, see the towers, see the vendors, hopefully see some free lectures. That's really the idea behind, just to feature some people that maybe normally aren't featured and talk about some subjects and let them do lectures and walk around and check out different maybe authors or whatever. So we're in the process of putting that together. But the night portion of that, I shouldn't say night, I should say late afternoon night portion of August 22nd, which is, hey, Nikki, that's that date of Paranormal Day, August 22nd. So the Paranormal Day part of it would be from like 10 a.m. to, I think we said 5 p.m., I think maybe. The details are coming as we're building it. But the night part of that, late afternoon part, is going to be a paid portion of it, where there's, if you've ever watched, you have to apologize, Diana. If you've ever watched Ghost Adventures like I do, and I have, there are 2 mediums. I encourage you to look them up. Michael and Marty Perry, who they're both mediums, but one of them sketches the spirits. I mentioned this before. Very unique. It was unique on the show. I'm looking forward to seeing it live and in person. What they're going to do is they're going to do a gallery reading at 4:00. So they're going to do their gallery reading. Same deal. You can buy tickets to that. They'll pick people.
It's inexpensive too.
It's $35. I'm assuming they'll pick people and sketch as well, which would be really cool. That's going to be one thing. Then I think like an hour and a half later, maybe, yeah, probably an hour, hour and a half later, they're going to do a walkthrough of the mine with a group of 20 people about, um, where you just walk with them to different areas and they're going to read what they're picking up and sketch what they're picking up. So that is going to be cool to sell. So you could purchase tickets to that as well. That'll probably be like $25, maybe, maybe 30. And then at night, the ghost hunt itself will be Cody and Satori, New Jersey Paranormal, their haunted objects. That'll be at night. So there'll be stuff happening from 4 p.m. to midnight that you could pay, to do the different things. One of the gallery, or one of them, all of them, whatever you want to do. But that's going to be from like 4 p.m. to midnight. You're going to have a chance to do the gallery reading if you want, the walkthrough with Mike and Marty if you want, see what they pick up, and then the ghost hunt with Cody and Satori, with the objects being included with me in the office, I'm sure. That's going to be a cool day. Very, very cool day. Yeah, it sounds amazing because it's going to be amazing. It's the same with Cindy Kaza as it is with Mike and Marty. I'm very, very curious what I know the influence that paranormal investigators and you guys and all of us, I know the influence we have on the mind as we're walking in there, saying we are aware that there are people here and we want to talk to you, and we explain how and we explain what we do. I know what influence that has on the mind, not all the time, but a lot of the time. Now combine that with the fact that two mediums are going to walk in there, in Cindy Kaza's phase one, but in this case, in August 22nd, two mediums are going to walk through there together and try to communicate, without us. I mean, maybe we'll do an EVP or two if they're getting really something specific to try to document it. But to have two mediums go to different sections, tell you what they're picking up on, maybe a sketch or two or whatever. Like I said, maybe an EVP, a session here and there, to have that happen before the ghost hunt. Who knows what effect that'll have on the actual paranormal investigation afterwards. Something we've never done. There's no way of knowing. Will it make some of the spirits, I don't want to say happy, but will interest them in that, hey, look, they've got these people now who are picking up on stuff that people normally don't? Or will it aggravate others who don't want to be known and don't want to be bothered and have them sketching their dang picture going, hey, this guy's here? You know what I mean? It's a really, really cool concept. And I like the idea of doing events like this. And I'm definitely thinking about more like that going forward, because we haven't really explored that option in the mind all that much. So that'll be August 22nd. Again, want to come up during the day, check out whatever vendors we have, walk around, check out some lectures from people in the field that are, not so well known, that are on TV and all that stuff. Maybe, even families could come because it's free. You're just walking through for free. That'll be it. We'll be there all day. But then at night, like I said, from 4 p.m. on is when the good stuff is going on. And I'm looking forward to seeing every bit of it, because I watched them on TV, and when somebody gave me their information, and I reached out to them, I talked to Mike, and very, very nice guy. They were both really nice and very interested in doing it. And I'm thinking, wow, this could be, again, doing the walk separate. Cindy Kaza is going to be part of the investigation. Mike and Marty will be before the investigation. So again, we get to see what that's like. We'll get to see what happened with Cindy being there and being part of everything. And then we'll get to see in August what happens if we walk a medium through first with a group. Interesting, I think. So that'll be August 22nd. So if you're interested, we're not really selling those tickets yet, but I figured I'll let you guys know because most of you guys are the ones that would want to come to these things, and I I love it, man. I do, because for me, yeah, I'm there the whole time, the whole day, and it's a long day, and but I get to experience all of that, and that's fun for me, just like it is for everyone else. So I love it, and I get to see firsthand kind of the whole thing. You know what I mean? Even like the gallery reading part, I'm interested in seeing what the difference is between like Cindy Kaza gallery reading, Mike and Marty. You know what I mean? And like I said, the cool thing about August 22nd is Cody Satori will be there at 8 o'clock. We love Cody and Satori, and they'll have their objects, and meet them, see the objects, and then me, I'll bring those objects into the office with me, and away we go. You know, but I am very, very curious to see both what Cindy gets in the mine as well as the basement of the office. I want to see what the difference is. But cool. I think it's a very cool event, and I like bringing events like that to everyone um, that are different. It gives you guys the opportunity, just like it gives us the opportunity. Every time we do one of these, I mean, it gives me the opportunity to investigate with Steve Gonzalez or Katrina or Dalen or Jawan, or you know what I mean. We get the same chance and to hang out with Cody Satori that you guys get. So it's cool to do. But yeah, that's what's coming up, August 22nd. So keep that day marked on your calendar. We're still trying and thinking about um, the paranormal picnic. Is that what we're calling it? June 13th is still the day we are holding for the paranormal picnic, which will be us getting together somewhere. We don't know where yet. We better start thinking of where soon because we're already in March. But potluck, everybody brings something: burgers, hot dogs, buns, whatever you want to make or whatever you want to bring. We all get together at some park or pavilion somewhere and we just hang out. Just, again, community, enjoy each other's company, get to meet everyone. If you haven't yet, if you haven't met a lot of the names that are on here, most of you guys know each other. But if you haven't had a chance and you're in Jersey or you're around and you want to come that day, June 13th, the weather will probably be decent. Just come by, hang out, have some food, talk, get to know everybody, and it's the community. It's what we do. So keep June 13th in your pocket if you can. Um, that'll be a really cool day if we can pull this off. I know it's the day before our anniversary, so we're going to be celebrating that too. So that's about it. Creeper Gallery this week. We'll see what happens with I don't even say that. Snow in June, Laura. What are you trying to wish on this? Um, Creeper Gallery this week. We'll see how it works out with the event we're doing on Saturday. Like I said, I should know more about that tomorrow, the next day. Um, uh, I I probably won't go this week if we have the event on Saturday, but I don't know that for sure yet. You know how it is. I see how I feel. If I'm bored and I want something to do and I want to go talk to haunted objects, I get in my car and go. That's how it works. But yeah, Chris is going to be sidelined for a little while here until we figure out what's going on with her arm. And Alex, who's on now, is going to be helping us out. So I'm confident that Alex knows what he's doing, and Alex has equipment, and Chris will be there right beside him working together. So she just won't be able to do a lot of the heavy stuff and exert herself all that much, which I don't think she does a lot of anyway, to be honest with you. But she's right over there. Anyway, maybe maybe Creeper Gallery. We're seeing, like I said, that's usually a Tuesday, Wednesday night feel thing for me. Tomorrow, I'm getting together with my kids and having dinner, so definitely won't be tomorrow. But maybe Wednesday and or later in the week if whatever happens with the event. But that's it, guys. I am going to line up, like I said, line up Jane. Try to line up some other, maybe the astrology lady. But yeah, start thinking of June 13th, August 22nd, and John Zaffis. I think there's 4 tickets left to 6626. That's got to mean something. You get 666 in a date with the John Zaffis event where tornadoes have happened in the past and haunted objects. You've got yourself a good time there, my friends. So come see the Love Tub if you've never seen it. June 6th, Camp Evans, InfoAge building. Only 4 tickets left. Email New Jersey paranormal@yahoo.com. You have to spell out New Jersey, can't say NJ, New Jersey paranormal@yahoo.com. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. Take care.